Neighbor, have you felt it lately? That sharp little bite in the morning air? The soil turning firm under your boots? The quiet way everything around us seems to say, January's getting close. And you know January. It doesn't warn you. It doesn't give you time to prepare. One cold night is all it takes, and anything without strong roots, well, it just won't make it. But here's the part I want you to remember. December still gives us a small, precious window. Just enough time to tuck a few things into the soil so their roots can settle in before the cold really bites. Anything planted now will rest through the worst of winter. And then wake up strong the moment February gives us a bit of light. So neighbor, if you want a garden that stands firm instead of giving up, this is your chance. Let's plant these 10 crops before January hits. You know, of all the crops I plant in December, overwintering onions are the one I trust the most. They're not spring onions. These are winter workers, strong, steady, and tougher than they look. They'll handle 10 degrees, even 15 degrees, without fuss. When you plant them this month, it might look like nothing's happening. The tops stay tiny, the growth is slow, and if you don't know onions, you might think they're struggling. But underground? That's where the real work is happening. They're stretching their roots deep, bracing themselves before January gets serious. And that deep rooting is exactly why overwintering onions grow bulbs 30–50% bigger than spring-planted ones. And the planting? Super simple. Slip each bulb an inch deep, give them a light straw blanket, and let nature do the rest. Go easy on watering. Winter soil holds plenty of moisture already. Then, sometime in February, you'll step outside, and those little green shoots will be standing taller, almost proud. And by May or June, you'll be lifting sweet, beautiful onions that make you think, planting early really was worth it. Now, speaking of plants that truly shine in winter, spinach is one I always count on. Not the tender summer kind, but the tough winter varieties. The ones that don't mind the cold at all. In fact, winter spinach can handle 99 degrees to 12 degrees. And here's the part most folks don't realize. The colder it gets, the sweeter the leaves become. Plant spinach in December and you won't see it racing to grow. It'll stay small, hugging the ground, almost as if it's conserving its energy. But while it may look still, the plant is quietly preparing itself. When the temperature drops, spinach turns its starches into natural sugars, its own little antifreeze, and that's why winter spinach tastes miles better than anything grown in warm weather. Let me share a few simple tips. Sow the seeds shallow, just ½ centimeter deep. Don't rush to thin the seedlings. Let them crowd together a bit so they can protect each other from the wind. And if snow falls, leave it right there. Snow works like a gentle blanket, keeping the soil warmer than the air above it. Then, somewhere around late January or early February, you'll notice the leaves suddenly picking up speed. Fresh, crisp, sweet as can be. And trust me, neighbor, harvesting spinach this early feels like a gift in the middle of winter. And while we're on the topic of winter favorites, there's another crop I never skip in December. Winter lettuce. It's nothing like the soft, heat-sensitive lettuce we grow in spring. These winter varieties are sturdy, calm, and surprisingly good at handling cold weather. Most can endure 5 degrees Celsius to 7 degrees Celsius, which is exactly why they do so well when planted late in the year. Plant winter lettuce in December, and you'll notice something interesting. It grows slowly. Very slowly. But that's actually the secret. When lettuce grows in the cold, the leaves turn crisp, thick, and mildly sweet, without a hint of bitterness. And because pests disappear in winter, The plants stay clean and healthy without much work from us. Here's the trick with winter lettuce. The seeds need light to germinate, so don't bury them deep. Just sprinkle a bit of soil, almost like dust, on top. After that, try giving the seedlings a little wind protection. An upside-down clear plastic bin, a cut-off bottle, even a bit of cardboard on the windward side. Anything helps in December's chilly breeze. Keep the soil slightly moist, not soggy. Lettuce roots are tiny this time of year, and they don't like sitting in cold water. Then, sometime in February, when most folks are still flipping through seed catalogs, you'll be picking fresh, crisp leaves straight from your garden. And trust me, winter lettuce tastes better than anything grown in warmer months. Let me share another winter favorite with you, one that works harder than it looks. Hey, don't fuss, they don't complain, and they certainly don't mind the cold. These sturdy winter beans can handle 6 degrees to 19 degrees, which makes them one of the most reliable crops to plant in December. What I love most about fava beans is how they behave in winter. They grow slowly on top, sometimes barely an inch or two, but under the soil, the magic is happening. Their roots dig deep, much deeper than most people realize, anchoring themselves and pulling nitrogen into the soil. It's like having a tiny team of gardeners working for you all winter long. If you decide to plant them this month, here's a tip from years of trial and error. Sow the seeds deep, around 5 centimeters, and plant them in double rows so they can support each other when the winter winds come through. They don't need much water. In fact, they prefer the soil on the slightly drier side during cold spells. Then, as the first signs of spring roll in, sometimes as early as late March, you'll see their flowers appear before almost anything else in the garden. And not long after, those early pods will be ready to pick, weeks ahead of anyone planting in spring. You know, garlic is one of those crops that never minds being planted a little late. Most vegetables won't let you get away with planting them in December, but garlic is different. It's tough, steady, and surprisingly patient, and it can handle cold down to 22 degrees without blinking. The only thing garlic truly needs is time in the cold, at least 40 days of it, to form those big, beautiful bulbs we all love. Planting garlic in December means you're right on the edge, but still in the safe zone. And honestly, neighbor, this timing can work in your favor. The cold keeps the leaves from growing too quickly, while the roots settle in quietly under the soil. When February finally softens a bit, garlic takes off with a burst of energy, like it's been waiting for that moment all winter. Here's how to keep it simple. Choose large, healthy cloves and plant them 5-7 centimeters deep, with the pointed end facing up. Cover them with a layer of dry leaves or straw to stop the soil from expanding and pushing the cloves out during freeze-thaw cycles. Garlic doesn't like sitting in cold, soggy soil, so water sparingly. Come May or June, you'll be lifting bulbs that are plump, fragrant, and full of flavor, the kind that make you smile because they grew through the hardest months of the year. There's something truly special about carrots grown in the cold. They don't just survive winter. They taste better because of it. Winter carrot varieties like Napoli and Autumn King can handle temperatures around 5 degrees Celsius to 7 degrees Celsius. And the magic happens when those cold nights begin to settle in. Each freeze triggers the roots to convert starches into sugars, making them sweeter than any carrot pulled in summer. Planting carrots in December might feel strange since they're slow to germinate in cold soil. But trust me, neighbor, this timing is exactly why they turn out so good. The seeds sit quietly for weeks, sometimes even a full month, waiting for the right moment to sprout. Underneath the cold soil, They're breaking down germination inhibitors naturally, something warm weather carrot seeds can't do on their own. Here's a simple way to make December planting work. Sow the seeds very shallow, about 0.5 centimeters, and keep the surface lightly moist. Don't worry if snow falls. Snow actually protects the soil from freezing too hard and helps maintain even moisture. And avoid stepping on the bed when it's wet, because compacted winter soil slows down root growth. Come March or April, when your neighbors are just starting to think about carrots, you'll already be pulling up crisp, sweet roots with deep color and incredible flavor. Winter carrots are one of those quiet rewards you only get when you plant at the wrong time, which, in this case, turns out to be the perfect time. Every winter garden needs at least one plant that doesn't just survive the cold, but actually enjoys it. And that plant, neighbor, is kale. Winter varieties like Winter Boar and Red Russian are incredibly resilient, standing strong through temperatures as low as C10 degrees C to 15 degrees, and sometimes even colder when protected with a bit of mulch. What makes kale so special is the way it reacts to frost. Most vegetables struggle when temperatures dip, but kale does something remarkable. It converts starches into sugars to protect itself from freezing. And that means every frosty night makes your kale a little sweeter, a little softer, and a whole lot tastier. Planting kale in December gives it just enough time to settle its roots, even if the top growth stays small for a while. And that's perfectly fine. Kale doesn't need to shoot up quickly. It just needs a foothold before January's deep chill arrives. Once February brings its first few mild days, kale wakes up fast, producing leaves that are surprisingly tender for a winter vegetable. For the simplest planting, sow seeds about 0.5 centimeter deep, or transplant starts if you can find them. Give them 30–40 centimeters of space. Winter kale grows wider than summer kale. And on those extra cold nights, drape a thin cloth or row cover over the plants to keep the tips from burning. By late February or early March, you'll have a steady supply of nutritious, sweet leaves, perfect for soups, sautés, or just plucking fresh from the garden. Some crops announce themselves loudly, and some work quietly beneath the soil, doubling and tripling when you're not even looking. Shallots fall firmly into that second group. They're elegant, reliable, and surprisingly tough, easily handling temperatures down to 8 degrees or 10 degrees without any trouble. Planting shallots in December might feel late, but it's actually perfect timing. The cold slows down the top growth but encourages the underground bulbs to divide. And that's the beauty of growing shallots. One single bulb can turn into 4, 8, even 12 by the time summer arrives. Growing them is wonderfully simple. Place individual bulbs with the pointed end just barely above the soil surface. Don't bury them too deep, or they won't divide as well. Space them about 15 centimeters apart, giving each bulb room to form its little cluster. In colder regions, adding a thin layer of mulch helps prevent the freeze-thaw cycles from pushing bulbs upward. But aside from that, shallots hardly need anything from you. As winter goes on, they sit there patiently, sending roots deeper, while the cold keeps pests away. By spring, you'll notice the tops begin to grow quickly, and by June or early July, you'll be lifting clusters of beautiful copper-skinned bulbs, the kind chefs love for their sweet, refined flavor and long storage life. Shallots may not be flashy, neighbor, but they're one of those crops that quietly make you look like a gardener who always knows what they're doing. Let me finish this list with a crop that always surprises people. Peas that you plant before winter, not after. Overwintering varieties like Douce Provence and Meteor are built for cold soil. They don't mind frost, they don't fear long nights, and they can handle temperatures around 6 degrees to 9 degrees without much help from us. Planting peas in December might feel backward, but it's one of the smartest winter gardening moves you can make. They sprout slowly, sometimes taking 2 or 3 weeks, but that slow start is what makes them tough. Through January, they stay small and close to the ground, quietly building roots, while everything else in the garden sleeps. A simple planting method works best. Push each seed 2 to 3 cm into the soil and plant them in a double row so the vines can support each other as they grow. You won't need much water. Winter moisture does most of the work. In colder zones, a light row cover on extra frigid nights is all they need. Then comes the magic. As soon as early spring arrives, often weeks before anyone else even thinks about peas, your overwintering plants leap into action. They climb fast, bloom early, and set pods before warm season insects become a problem. By April or May, you're harvesting sweet, tender peas, while everyone else is just starting their seeds. All right, neighbor? Thanks for sticking around with me. Winter can be a tough season, but the seeds you planted today are already settling in and doing their thing. Give them time. They'll surprise you when the days start warming up again. And hey, if this video helped you even a little, tap that like button so I know we're on this gardening journey together. Take it easy, stay warm out there, and I'll see you in the next one.